What is up, Square Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And today we are back with our first installment of season 3 of the Four Corners, the official podcast of No Counters, No Combos. We used to do these just as audio files, either on Podbean or YouTube, but I kind of wanted to go the video route a little bit to see if I like it better. And it's at least something a little bit better for you guys to look at while you're listening to us ramble about Dragon Ball. So, with me, I have a special guest. He's actually going to be our co-host with us for the rest of the season. Matt, say what's up to everybody, and how have you been, brother?
What's up? So I moved down. I used to be a member of the Gamers Edge community down in PA, but I moved down in July to Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm part of the community down at Dice Head Games in Cleveland, Tennessee, which is about an hour from me. But I've just been grinding some games, getting ready for the PPG Invitational in Tampa, the end of the month.
So are you? So you mentioned the PPG. Are you excited to go to that regional?
So it's my first big IRL event.
Yeah.
It's at TCG Con in Tampa, and it is going to be crazy 2-day event.
No, that's awesome. So we'll definitely get into more of that a little bit later. I just want to go and update everybody and see where we're at. I know I haven't posted content for like the past 2 months, since probably November, maybe October. It's just a little hard around the holidays. I like to take a little bit of time off to spend time with the family. My son's birthday's in November, and then we got Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's very hard to get motivated to make content, especially during like the lull, because everybody's getting ready for Nats, and then you hit the off season. So moving forward, obviously we're gonna pump out more consistently moving into the actual season. But I just kind of wanted to update you guys on that. Also, big news: my wife is currently pregnant with our fourth child, so we're expecting another member of the No Counters, No Combos family to grow this year in 2022. So it's going to be a big year for Dragon Ball Super. It's going to be a big year for us here at No Counters, No Combos. So I just kind of wanted to say thank you for those who have been patient as far as lack of content, and for those who have been supporting the channel since day one. You guys are the best. So Matt, real quick, I just kind of wanted to ask you, when you transition down into Tennessee, I know what the community is like in Gamers Edge, obviously, because that's my local. I just wanted to kind of ask you what the major differences were, or if there's any type of difference in the meta down there in Tennessee.
Yeah. So when I first got down here, I had a little bit of trouble finding a shop close to me because back in set 2 and set 3, right around, I might be off a little bit set wise, but right around when Heightened Evolution SS3 was the big deck in the format, um, that's when the community was at its height. There were like 60 people at like 3 different stores. It was a huge community, and then it died right when those decks got banned. And they've been trying to rebuild the community. We've got it up from we started at 4 when I first moved down in July. We're up to like 8 or 9 on average, and we're still building. We got some more people really interested in coming. We might be up at like 12 next time I go down there. But it's been building. Meta wise, a lot of yellow. We have one guy interested in building Gogeta ramp, and the Vegeta ramp, the new promo coming out the next set. And then we have myself, who plays anywhere from Gogeta Xeno to my new project, which is Vegeta Bardock's crew, which I think has a really good shot to be a rogue deck this set. And we have a lot of varied decks. One guy is on Xeno Sin. One guy sometimes will play blue, sometimes Vegex. A lot of varied decks.
Well, I mean, that's good. Obviously, having variety in your local meta. It's not like rinse, wash, and repeat type games. So that's always good. But I'm glad you were able to find a community down in Tennessee, because I was a little worried going from Gamer's Edge, which is pretty decent, a pretty decently sized local community, to kind of having to start from scratch. So I'm glad you were able to find a group of guys that play the game consistently, and I'm happy that obviously you're able to still keep up with the game. So that's good for all you down there in Tennessee. Shout out to the Titans, by the way. I'm a huge Tennessee Titans fan, and
Yeah,
they made the playoffs, so that's always good. Anyway,
it's definitely it's gonna be hype when we go into work tomorrow because
yeah,
I'm sure everyone's gonna be wearing their Titans gear.
hell yeah, hell yeah. All right, so what do you want to talk about, man? What do you want to talk about? There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, especially because we haven't
I
been on in a while. But what do you want to talk
yeah.
about?
I definitely want to start with the reveals
Yeah,
because this set is looking like one that is going to shape the format in a major way, especially with what's going to come up with the ban list, which we'll probably talk about later.
yeah.
But first things first, that red Goku deck is unbelievable. I mean, I wasn't totally convinced when I just seen the leader back in that season, but man, that deck is efficient.
I mean, I feel bad because I haven't really paid like I'm so bad because I only pay attention to the stuff that interests me, and I have no interest in playing this red deck. Like I just don't like. I just have no interest in playing it. But I know guys in the chat have been talking about it. I know a lot of people in the community have been talking about it. Uh, so I'm glad that there's another good U7 deck coming out. But just how good do you think it's gonna be?
It's so the deck revolves around bursting off of your leader and filling the drop area fast. You can awaken either at 4 or when there's 7, you 7 in the drop.
Oh,
You can awaken early at a high life total, and you burst 3 and discarding 1 to draw 1 on the back. So that's really, really early advantage. So you hit 4 in the first one, and then probably another 4 on turn 2, and that pretty much guarantees your awaken. If not on 2 on 3, and then you're just drawing, and you're going to fill the drop. And once per game, when you hit 20 in drop, you can grab any U7 from your drop. That means your Secret Rare Vegeta. That means that 8 drop Goku. If there's another U7 that you're grabbing from the drop that's red. Um, but there's just so many options, and your curve is so efficient. There's a 4 cost natural 1 that you play for 1 energy. That's a Frieza. That's a 19k dual attacker. There's the SR Android 17. That's a 1 drop 15k double strike that searches on swing. The deck just screams advantage. I mean, you have Yamcha in red, you have New Ruler in red, you have Piccolo Jr. Descendant of the King in red, you have so many options to just control the board state. And you have a 1 drop counterplay Goku that hits 1 body minus 15, and if it kills something, it replaces itself.
wow.
So, I mean, you just control the board state until you hit 4 energy, and then tap down, play the Goku, and you just wipe everything. And it's just crazy.
I mean, that sounds like it does a lot, which I mean, I think is good. I mean, red has kind of been I don't know, I feel like red has been good recently though. So for another good red deck, I mean, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I know King Piccolo had its moment to shine, a little bit there, but it didn't really like get over the hump, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I guess red
Once
really does need a good deck.
once KP got hit, Red kind of fell off, at least competitively. I know I've been on Red Vegeta because of the amount of cards it draws, and the crew engine's just really fun to play. It reminds me a lot of old Gogeta Xeno, like before Boarding was released.
Yeah,
And just the format revolved around that for so long. So Red seeing a good control leader is going to be really interesting, especially mono Red. I know people are definitely going to try to make it, you know, focused around that. But I mean, Red seeing Divine Presence being a U7 target, the Gohan card that like when you combo a skillless, you draw a card. So that deck's going to revolve around just drawing cards and controlling the board state, and that it just in general in Dragon Ball has always been a good strategy.
yeah. I mean, it looks like I'm just double checking the leader now. Obviously, the burst mechanic is a nice, comeback into the game. We haven't really had a lot of burst mechanics for a while. Permanent of not being able to warp cards out of your drops means you can't overwhelm. Okay, that's fair and balanced. Sparking 20, it seems pretty doable. I like I think the word I'm looking for is the efficiency of what the deck wants to do within
Yeah,
its own archetype. Like you don't really need a lot of outside support to get to where you want to go. It looks like it's all right here. Like there might be a
yeah,
couple options for tech options or whatnot, but it looks like for the most part everything is right here.
yeah. And the beauty is like you run Piccolo Jr. because you're running a red deck, so you run 4 Piccolo Jr. and you can run 2 of that Frieza 17 units, and you don't even have to do this, but it's just another cheap way to end the game because of Empower. So you empower, I think it's like 3 or 4 markers off of that Piccolo Jr. So you pay 2 to play the Unison. you draw off your Piccolo Jr., and then you pay another 2 later on in the game, and you can replace it, and he keeps the markers that Piccolo Jr. had up to a certain extent, whatever the Empower skill reads. And then if it's 4 or more, you draw a card, and you burst one, which gives you another marker, and then you just flush him, and he gets triple attack, which is just bananas.
What do you think about the empower keyword, man?
I think I think they're really pushing it. I think on some cards it's good, on some cards it's not so good. I think forcing it into archetypes is going to be what happened with Spirit Boost, and it's going to be not good when you need to use it to do stuff. But it seems like they're getting away from that, and they're kind of letting you like, okay, if you want to empower, you can empower, and you can really get some advantage off of it. Like that Frieza 17 is really good. But I know like the Deborah archetype really takes advantage of it in a good way because you can free play that Mechi Unison, which we'll get into later. Um, because it's going to want to swap into really cheap targets, and when you swap, you gain markers, and you can empower, play another Unison. So it's really neat that you can just kind of force and swap into other Unison strategies. Because before, you play one Unison, that's it. You're yellow, you're playing Mecha Unison. You're red, you're playing Piccolo Unison. So it's nice that it kind of gives you other avenues to go into. So that's really neat. That Gogeta ramp support Vegeta is super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, people are always gonna love ramp decks. I mean, that's like the really I mean, we don't really have a lot of ramp in the game right now ever since they got rid of objection and just cards that naturally ramp. I mean, we have SS4 Vegeta, but he's got a ping of damage. There's always a condition next to the ramp, and this is just like it looks like an archetype built into it. So I remember the Gogeta deck, the Gogeta ramp deck back in the day. It was cute. It was if it got rolling, it was hard to stop. But if you kind of knew what you were doing and didn't like slam into the Vekus, then you kind of like just avoided all that. But
But that this getting rid of the Veku is
yeah,
huge because now you don't have to worry about it. And like
yeah,
you can play it, but it doesn't do anything in this engine. But there's the promo that comes with the special packs this set that is a free energy exhaust, like it's a free red blue energy.
yeah,
And then it's another fusion target being a Goku and being a 10K. And now all Gogetas gain fuse for 4, which is just nuts. Which means you can hit that 6-drop on curve. And then you just build from there. You just create a ton of advantage, and there's a ton of barrier cards in that deck, and it's just very hard to deal with if you're not prepared for it.
yeah. I mean, it looks like it's gonna be pretty spicy. I definitely want to talk about like the main thing that has caught my eye archetype wise or like color wise has been like black and yellow this set. But as far as like money cards, like secret rares and stuff, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Unbridled Power, like
Crazy.
this card's insane. I mean, dual attack,
It,
sparking 25, deflect, triple strike, activate main for 4 reds, play it from your hand, and you can have one of your opponent's leaders get minus 5k for the turn. Negging leaders has always been super strong. And then
oh,
activate main, remove them from the game, and you can choose all your opponent's cards, battle cards, and unisons ignoring barrier, place them in the drop, and then place one card from their life to their
it's just
drop.
a free burn one.
Yeah, so
Like
he
you,
kind of
you
just
you
wins
hit
the
the
game
board.
on 4 by himself,
Yep.
which is
On 4,
insane.
if your opponent has 1 life, bonk. Just that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of gross. I mean, sparking 25 outside of the
That
archetype
only
is going to be
affects the
tough.
dual attack.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's the only thing it locks off. Everything under it is fine. The sparking just knocks off everything before it. So just the dual attack.
So it's okay.
The
Okay.
archetype, he's going to be a dual attack. Outside of it, for red, he's what Nappa was supposed to be.
Yeah.
What that old red Nappa was really supposed to be is just a free burn, a 4 burn one, and he has deflect. He's gonna hit the board, and you're gonna be able to remove him unless you're dumb playing yellow and you swing into it and you let them final flash it.
Yeah, this is pretty insane. I mean, this is probably going to be the expensive SCR in the set.
Yeah, and it's most likely gonna be the God Rare, which is gonna have some crazy top tier art.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're giving my boy Vegeta some love, man. This is what is this? No, this isn't the first Vegeta secret rare, but it's the
The
first
first
good
canon
Vegeta secret
rare.
rare.
Well, I mean,
Because
you talk about like a good generic red secret rare we
Yeah.
haven't had since Army, Frieza's Army,
Freeze's Army,
whenever
yeah, yeah,
reborn.
for sure, for sure.
That
And this
that
has
that Broly
deflect.
Frieza Paragon secret rare, and right, and it
Yeah,
has deflect. It's gonna hit the
yeah,
board. If you want to swing with it, you can. But if you're playing red, your opponent's probably going to be at a lower life total anyways. If you're playing red, I mean, you know, normally.
yeah.
And this deck is going to poke all game, and if you get him to one, tap four, you
Yeah,
win the
and
game.
he's got a lot of traits too. Saiyan, U7, Vegeta's lineage. So there's a lot of cards that could search for him or like scry top X to get him. U7 Gohan might get some
Yep.
more play now because it's gonna be a more budget version of a red U7 deck, and it just gets big hands with all the comboing it does. So I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised seeing a resurgence of U7 go. That's probably where I'm gonna be leaning if I was playing red this set
Yeah.
because this
It's
card is
it's you get so much
snap.
advantage just out of divine presence, and
Yeah,
then the Vegeta just creates so much advantage off the
yeah,
top.
this card seems snapped. I don't really want to talk about the priest stuff because I just don't really want to talk about it.
It's
Uh,
kind of trash.
Black, I don't want to talk about black because black it was like the first colors we had revealed. I want to talk about yellow for sure,
Yeah,
for
and I
sure.
think that
I want to talk
that's
about
where all the
yellow.
money this I
So
think
yeah,
green is just good.
so it seems like we're back in the day. Back in the day, yellow was by far the best color in the game, and it like got the short end of the stick for a while, but now it looks like it's coming back, man. I mean, they revealed the Zamasu stuff today, which seems really strong. And this
Yeah.
Trunks archetype, which is what we're gonna talk about now, this Trunks archetype looks silly, bro. I mean, the leader itself, 10k on the front, attack, draw. If you have 2 or more energy, you choose yellow Vegeta in your battle area and place it under this card. You can flip him over to draw and add life to your at 6. So it's got an early awakening condition, which is always good. Or your normal if you're at 4 or less. And then on the backside, when he attacks, draw 1. If you don't, you can choose a yellow Vegeta, yellow Trunks, or Bulma with a cost of 1 in your hand or drop and play it in rest mode, which I think is phenomenal because Dragon Ball Super doesn't have a lot of drop area recursion. Like they tried a long time ago with the revive mechanic, it never really stuck. So playing stuff out of your drop is just a hard plus because you're never going to lose advantage in your hand. Auto once per turn. When a yellow battle card activates EX Evolve from your hand, draw a card, and then activate battle once per turn. Place 1 card under this leader to the drop, and he gets 10k in double strike. So he does a lot. I mean, he's gonna draw a an enormous amount of cards, which is great for another yellow leader to have draw power that's rivaling Icarus at this point. Built-in win con on a leader is always nice. Um, and that recursion from the drop is what really interests me because there are a lot of one drop yellow Trunkses, Vegetas, and Bulmas that have good on play autos. So it's just going to be interesting to see what everybody decides to do with this leader.
I've been testing it, just the last couple days, with what we've seen, and being that they revealed like the whole archetype the first day it was revealed was really nice because I was able to kind of just dive into it, and yellow's gonna get hit on the ban list in some fashion. Not knowing what that is, I just kind of wanted to see what potential it had. What you can do when you awaken is just you put that Trunks on the board, and now anything your opponent's going to play, that first thing is going to get affected. So they have to play around it. The amount of advantage you accrue off of just playing that archetype, like the Vegeta ignores barrier. So cards are going to be in rest via that Trunks, and you have Poutine, and you have power over Super Saiyan, and you can even throw in Zamasu Super Combo if you want. Cards are going to be in rest. You're playing yellow. He ignores barrier, and he does not have a cost limit, and he is not unique. So you can pay him, draw 2 cards, and just swing away. And you're just going to remove cards, and that is just so valuable. Um, with so much that has barrier being good, it's
Yeah,
just going to eliminate that being an issue for you.
yeah,
The leader having that built-in Champa is
yeah.
nuts.
That's really
I
nice.
mean,
And you can
and
do it
then
whenever you
the win
want.
con,
You can do it whenever you
yeah,
want.
right. You can use it defensively if you really feel like you need to.
Yeah,
That's just a defensive super combo that you have. Really, really neat. And then the win con for that deck being, having no protection is like, oh, I wish it had barrier or deflect, but if it did, it costs 2,
yeah,
and it's activate battle triple strike.
yeah. Yeah.
That's just insane. That deck is going to be good. People are gonna play it just because it's cool and it just draws cards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Future Trunks, obviously. Who isn't at this point? But seeing SS2 Trunks feature on the line, he's basically a poutine. So Poutine's probably gonna go, especially because she's a free
Yeah,
play for yellow. Because
yeah.
having two Poutines is just overpowered. That's disgusting. Um,
Like, thankfully they don't both. Like, if they're already both on the board, they all trigger off the first
yeah, for sure.
that first step. So in a way, they balanced it in a way. If they wanted to, they could keep Poutine, but on that first trigger, if he's on the board and you don't have Poutine out, boom, you trigger,
Right.
boom, Poutine,
Yeah. Now you
and
have
now
him
you have
alone.
Poutine for
Yeah.
that second one, and you just shut off an entire turn.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's
So
where, yeah,
that's
that's
where it becomes an
that's
issue.
where it's gonna get a
So
little nutty there.
yeah, I mean that first turn where you trigger it, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad that it looks like for the most part, I haven't looked at every single keyword on the cards for this set, but it looks like for the most part they're going away from unique as a keyword, which I think is good because Dragon Ball never really had that crutch of uniqueness like a lot of other games do. Um, and that's what makes it special. Because you don't feel bad playing 4 copies of a card, knowing that you could just play it at any time. When it comes to unique, you kind of have to, jump through hoops to play it. I think the introduction of unique was interesting because they're trying to make the game a little more strategic, but at the same time, you're kind of limiting what you could do as a player in that specific archetype or in that specific strategy that you're playing with. So I'm glad that they kind of look like they're going away from it. I'm just like cycling through these cards now to
Oh,
see if there
good.
are any others with unique on them.
Uh, Zamasu stuff
Yeah, Zamasu
has it,
stuff makes
which
sense.
is really, really important because
Yeah.
if you could spam Aegis,
Yeah.
and that's where like we saw that problem with BoJack one ban list ago, where they had to hit that card because it was just overtuned. It's unfortunate that Zamasu got hit along with it, but seeing what that can do in testing is testing against it earlier. Shout out to Hudson, just getting some games in against that Zamasu deck because I mean you have 2 sets of drawing 7 cards.
Yeah.
You can play 7 of that coercion card, and that's a warp one, draw two, warp one, draw two, and that is not a limit one. You can just do it. So the amount of advantage that you can accrue just doing that is really just insane. Um, but that boss monster has unique because if you could just Aegis draw a card, Aegis draw a card, Aegis draw a card on defense, it would be just broken.
Yeah.
But like they're starting to use unique smartly
Yes.
where you don't have to throw it on every single boss monster, but on the ones that need it, they're using it, or on the cards that need it, they're using it, which is
My
super super
yeah,
helpful.
I also I don't like unique on lower drops. Like,
Yeah,
for turns 1 through 4, really, like you're not I mean, maybe you can win on turn 4 with certain decks, but you're not 100% of the time gonna win on turn 4 anymore. Like, there's just unless you're playing, like, super aggro, and in that case, you're not worried about unique anyway. But,
yeah,
lower drops having unique is just frustrating because most of the time, your lower drops are what get you started, and they're what get you, like, moving forward and progressing through the game. So, being able to only play a limited amount of copies of that is kinda stupid in my opinion. I mean, I look at a card like, Bardock, what is it? Might of Resistance, the ape, the combo into play ape,
yeah,
15K attacker, blocker, critical. He's unique. Why? Why is he unique? Because I don't want you to spam free blockers. There's decks that do that there's decks that do that like without having to tap one to combo. So it just doesn't make
yeah.
sense to me. Why lower drops have unique. I mean, boss monsters that are like this guy, double strike, indestructible, blocker, EX evolve, aegis, like all these keywords. Yeah, cool. Obviously, you want to do
Right.
that. But little guys like 1 drops or like 2 drops, there's no point for them to have unique.
I will say, speaking on unique things, the Champa and the Beerus archetype are super cool. Being decks that start with 5 and 4 life
Yeah,
respectively
yeah,
is just so neat. And like at first, I was like I was of the opinion those decks are just dead against aggro. I mean, like in ways, yes, they are, but the amount of advantage that they accrue pretty quickly is really really neat because you have that the Piccolo that's a free play and crit, or the Vegeta that's a double strike, and you can kind of even out the game state really quick. And you pay one for your unison early, you hit the field active, and then you can direct attacks to that battle card, which is really really neat. And those battle cards have way to KO, and you can put stuff onto the field, so that's really unique. And green is just a very survivable color right now with things like Dormant, the boot topo, and just freeze charismatic Frieza turning off turns just when it's played correctly. And it's going to be really unique seeing how good that's going to be in a format where yellow is going to dominate and red having that Goku. I mean, I don't think there's a question that Goku will be tier 1, um, just with the amount of value that it
Oh
creates.
yeah, for sure.
Um, and it's going to be weird seeing how the rest of the format shapes around that, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, okay, how can you outvalue that Goku? If not, you're not in the format. So I think it's going to matter where black's going to sit, where yellow's going to sit, if Soul Striker survives, if it's going to be really really weird seeing where those decks line up.
Yeah, for me, honestly, like the Beers and Champa decks, they seem fun. I'm definitely gonna experiment with them because why not? They're probably gonna be, cheaper archetypes to build. But the fact that they're 15K on the front and 20K on the back, respectively, is what piques my interest. Because okay, yeah, you know what? I'm starting at 4 life with Beerus, but I'm 15K on the front. So if you want to hit me with your
You're
unawakened
gonna
leader, you're gonna have to burn a card. And I already have my super combos live turn 1, so I don't really care what you do. I
right.
just think it's
So
super interesting.
yeah, it is really really interesting. And then alongside those, they revealed the second secret rare, that Super Mira Finn unison,
Yeah,
which being yellow and black is a little weird because those colors don't have a ton of crossover.
yeah,
But I mean, dual attack blocker, empower yellow and black for 3 and is it 2 respect? No, it's 3 for each.
yeah, 3
So
yellow, 3 black,
you know
yeah.
if you're in yellow and you're playing something like the Whis deck, for example, a deck that's not really in the format, but that Vados is going to get decently big if it survives.
Right.
You rip 3 markers off of it. Now you have this gigantic dual attack blocker that can just lock yourself. I mean, choose -4. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier KO. Then choose 2 of your opponent's cards and switch into rest mode. Leader, energy, field cards, stuff like that. And this card gains 15k and double strike for the turn. So now
Yeah,
it's a 25 and 15 to 40k double strike dual attack that is a unison. I
yeah.
mean, that's just really, really, really good, and it can happen the turn you play it, but it's a unison, and secret rare unisons are kinda bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this card. I don't like the artwork. It
Yeah, it's a
looks
little weird.
it looks
Finn is kind of funky. He kind of looks like if Ditto was like emo.
yeah, like, I don't like Finn, I have no problem with. It's just Mira, like, Mira's face just bothers me in this picture here. It looks
Yeah,
it
it's kind of weird. His
yeah,
eyes are not like super even.
yeah, but, I mean, that's just me nitpicking. This card, I have no interest in this card. If something like this, it's a 4 drop, it's a 4 cost, um, unison, basically.
Yeah,
And so, it doesn't have deflect. Yes, there are cards that can hit 4 cost unisons, um, negate their
right
skills.
now I think it's just a
Yeah,
Piccolo.
but that Piccolo, he negates the
Honestly,
skills. So
I
you
mean,
you
if I think in yellow decks, if this card sees play, that card automatically goes in the side. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
and that means you just can't play that card against yellow. And if
Yeah.
that card's in your deck, it's dead.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend on what sees play, I think. But then, of course, they gave black the most busted secret rare they've ever printed.
I still think the regular Supreme Kai of Time is better just because it's more generic.
Fair.
Like, with this, you have to be playing black, right? Yeah, if your leader card is
But if
black.
you're playing black, I mean, for one,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
have a 50k double.
If you're playing black, this is your go-to secret rare. There's
And now
no
they can't clap you back.
Yeah, there's no argument there. There's no argument there. This is your secret rare of choice if you're playing a black leader. I
Yeah.
completely agree with that. But
I mean, chat. having this, now Hatch can go all the way in with your Gogeta thwarting, and now this, and now you play it, and for 1 energy, okay, now you can't attack me unless you want to crit life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and she's a double striker. Yeah, and she's a good offensive. She's a good
Wild.
offensive battle card,
Yeah.
which is really good
I don't
too.
know if she dethrones Pan for aggro black decks or if she dethrones Kai in like control type
Yeah.
situations, but she is a good option.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good secret rares that they've printed throughout the years. This set, in my opinion, um, they 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 hit on 2 and they missed on 1, so 2 out of 3 is not bad, in
No,
my
and
opinion.
there's going to be the God rare. So,
Yeah,
I mean, if you buy a case and you happen to get the God rare, you just celebrate and then buy a new house.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah. That's
or it's going to be, it
that's
has unlimited value.
that's what it's gonna come down to. All right, so we kind of went over everything briefly in the new set coming out, which this set's supposed to be coming out in February.
I think it got pushed to March,
March. I mean, that's
late
fine.
March.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't think
It's cool. I
anybody.
mean, the ban list is sooner
Yeah,
this time around.
yeah,
I know they're going to do it, I think, like at the start of the competitive format, so hopefully
yeah,
soon. Which is going to be cool because it's going to give decks the chance to develop, and then
sure.
the set's going to release. So it's going to give decks that have had that chance to develop a chance to either stay in the format or get pushed away. So, like, Green has King Cold. Is King Cold going to survive with Beerus there? Probably, because it does something different.
Right.
Is Red Vegeta? I don't think that's the red deck in the format. I think there is a red deck in the format, but I think Red is going to be owned by that Goku, and then Red will have like a rogue spot. Yellow is going to be absolutely owned by Icarus unless it gets hit.
Yeah.
If Icarus gets hit, those 2 decks are going to be in the format. They
Yeah.
are going to be played regardless. I mean, it's going to be a matter of what sees the hit on that ban list,
Yeah.
and then how the format works around that.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of hits, before we get on out of here, let's kind of speculate a little bit on what you think. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. I'm gonna ask you what you think Bandai will do and what you think should happen as far as
Uh,
the upcoming ban list. So just real quick, in your opinion, what do you feel needs to get hit or errata or come off the ban list? And then what do you think Bandai's gonna actually do about it?
that's really tough. I don't think anything needs to come off. I mean, people want Bardock the Progenitor
Yeah.
off the list. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like,
That's not gonna happen.
it's like, Bardock the Progenitor's great and
Yeah,
all, but with Goten existing,
it's not
you
gonna
just can't.
yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Like with Goten existing, and then you have even further beyond that other SR, it just can't. Like, I wish, I loved Goku's lineage back in the day, but it just can't happen.
Yeah.
But what I think should happen, Cooler, Poutine, um, and I think thwarting needs some sort of touch. I was a Gogeta Xeno player from the start.
Yeah.
I think that deck is so much fun. But turn 1 thwarting is ridiculous. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be able to play a 1 energy, draw 1, double strike, remove a body on turn 1 for no neg. So I think what they're going to do, I think Graham had said this earlier in our chat. Shout out to Graham. With locking it behind 3 energy, it can still cost 1, but locking it to turn 3 hard, I think, is a good way to balance it because it gives you a chance to establish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's your turn 0, and they just played this monster and you don't do anything about it, you're going to get punished. And there's just no way around it right now. Um, as for other cards that I think are going to get hit, Cooler and Poutine. We talked about it a little bit earlier with that Trunks being kind of a replacement for it,
Yeah.
and you can play it in any deck. I mean, it's a 1 cost evolve that
Yeah.
draws a card.
Yep.
It might not draw 2 in every deck, but you can play it in any yellow deck. Just like people were playing that Slug Engine
Yep.
for a while. So I mean, you can very easily replace Poutine, and it will cost energy, which is nice.
Yep.
So I think Poutine goes, and I think Cooler goes,
Yeah.
especially with that leader having double strike naturally for
Yeah.
free. Yeah, you could just swing Cooler. Okay, I win. So I think I'm still of the thought. You convinced me I mean, that was like 8 ban lists ago when we were talking about Champa being gone. I think I don't like it. I think it can still go, but I don't think it will.
Yeah.
Bandai, I think will hit. I think we'll hit Cooler and thwarting, and I think that'll be it.
Yes, I agree with you. I think the only cards that need to get addressed for the ban list are Poutine and Cooler. Like they need to go. I'm okay with thwarting, getting that 3 energy restriction. That seems a little more fair because you're right, setting up against him turn 0 is kind of tough. Um, but yeah, Cooler needs to go. I mean, yellow is moving into becoming the best color in the game right now, and it's the only color that has a counter that's that cheap. Uh, Cooler costs 3 energy, and in a yellow deck, that's not a lot of energy because for the most part, their plays are super efficient. Like I was playing yellow Turles this past weekend at locals, and that deck doesn't spend any energy because most of your plays are coming out of combo when you combo them from
Yeah.
life and you're playing them for free. So I would have turns with like 5 or 6 bodies on board and I would have 3 or 4 energy open. So tapping 3 for a Cooler, knowing I'm gonna get 2 damage in, it just and I'm gonna draw 2 cards off of it because you're
Right,
gonna
and
have 6
that's the
cards in rest mode. It's kinda stupid. Um,
you know
yeah, so that needs to go because it hits way too much. Um, if you're gonna have counters in the game, I'm okay with it, but they need to cost more because counter is so pivotal in like ensuring yourself a win. It should happen later in the game. Like I'm okay with the ape costing 5, like the golden ape costing 5 as a counter, or
or
playing
2
it off
for
of
hand.
the unison because it requires a lot of setup. So you're not playing that early. But as
It
early as
requires a
turn
bunch
3,
of
having
units
a
from
cooler
end to
live is kind of ridiculous.
it's just insane.
And
And
then
and green has the secret rare, but it's a secret
right, it's a
rare
one
counter
off.
counter.
Right. And then
So,
Poutine definitely has to go. They
yeah,
got rid of Power of Legends. They got rid of Bardock the
really.
Resolute. Gravy's never gonna get touched because he's dog water. But Poutine is another
It's a
free
bad
battle card that
card.
needs to go. And it's just in combination with what Yellow just does naturally, right? Like Yellow has Power for Super Saiyan. Even the one of Bergamo, like even like bad cards that nobody uses, like uh, you know, um, what's it called? Bardock Father and Son. Like nobody plays that card, but he's a free
It's a
15K
free
that comes in
access
and
to
rests
poutine.
something. Yeah, so even just like that generic ability of just yellow being able to rest everything so efficiently is always going to put Poutine in a good spot in any yellow deck. And now that they're actually getting their own version of Poutine, I think it's safe for her to go. Especially because she has barrier, so it's kind of hard to deal with her when she's already out.
Right.
So I think she should go because she's free. And then Champa, like I'm gonna talk about it every single ban list until they actually do it. The reason I don't like Champa is because there's not a lot of interaction with Champa. Like, yes, okay, it's been out since set one. You can read a Champa, sure. Like you expect it. Like, okay, I can't go to 2 because they're gonna Champa me because everybody's playing at least one Champa. But my problem with Champa is like it's so hard to stop. Like there's not a lot you could do. So it makes any card in the game,
A
it
double
gives it the
strike.
ability, right, it gives it the ability to swing for lethal, and if you're playing one of those decks that just hoards all their cards and hoards all their super combos, and you're playing the shotgun game, you're rarely going to lose. I mean, back in the day, Mirror Champa Battering was a 3 energy win con, and they got rid of Battering because it was too strong. Because a 1 cost counter was ridiculous. But Champa and Mirror kind of survived. Nobody plays Mirror anymore because nobody does. He's still a decent card, but Champa is in every single deck.
And
So
you could just cooler Champa now. And
yeah,
just in yellow, you just win the game
yeah,
on 4
exactly,
energy.
exactly. So it's not so much something that I think it'll probably never happen. But for me, it's like one of those things where it's so hard to avoid it that it's just like you're playing with 7 life. Like that's my argument, until somebody, questions it. Like you're playing with 7 life and the game is designed for you to play with 8. So you really
Yeah.
can't go to 2 life knowing sniffing a Champa. Now, yes, there are other cards that inherently give you double strike, but a lot of them are locked behind archetypes. Like I think about like Fruit of the Tree of Might. That has to be a Turles. Like you can't give it double strike to a Crusher Core that's not Turles, you know?
Yeah.
And then battle cards that have double strike printed on it, at least you can
They're a
see it
battle card.
coming, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like a gotcha, here's Champa, you lose, and here's my hand, take it. So,
I will say, I think the one other thing that may get hit, I think, just out of speculation and out of design, they're always talking about, oh, it limits design. Soul Striker.
Uh,
Because why am I going to play another blue leader? I mean, I don't know. You think about it, play style wise, yeah, I like other blue. Like I love skillless Gohan. I think it's just a fun archetype to play.
yeah, but just
But
Soul
it's
Striker
worse
does
than
it better.
Soul Striker.
Yeah.
Why am I going to play this new Goku? Soul Striker untaps 2 energy and draws me a card. Why am I going to play another blue leader? I mean, I don't think it needs to get hit. I
Yeah.
don't think it should get hit. Do I think it will get hit?
So
I don't know.
here's the thing. I think I understand the argument that if you're playing blue, you just play Soul Striker. I get that. But here's the thing, right? It's coming out in that anniversary collection in April. It's getting a reprint. So I don't see it going anywhere because people are gonna either if they're not gonna play with that card, they're at least gonna want that card to have some type of value. And the other thing is, this would be the second rebooted leader that Bandai has given us that has gotten banned. They
Well,
rebooted
Raditz
Mech.
cut that card's dead.
Yeah, they rebooted Mecha Frieza, thinking, oh, it's fair, and they just like were like, no, we messed up. And now they rebooted Soul Striker, and Soul Striker's been really good for a long time, but it hasn't really won like a major event. Like, yeah, you might see it top and get top tables and top 16s and top 8s, but it didn't win Nats. It didn't win like any of the big events that we had this year, to my recollection, because it's
No,
easy to side against. So
well, and that's the thing.
yeah,
Blue is very easy to side
right,
against, and if an experienced blue player is playing it, that's different.
yeah,
However, I think that with that Goku being essentially a worse Soul Striker, it's them telling us, okay, it's been too long, and they want us to play other blue
sure,
leaders.
sure.
I think that when it comes down to it, I think Soul Striker is amazing, and I think it's great for the game to see blue having a consistent point.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's gonna
at
be
the same time, for Bandai, it's like, why don't you play our new cards? Well, this one's better.
yeah,
And it's a matter of them wanting us to play the new blue stuff.
yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think we're gonna roll these podcasts out weekly as kind of like a this week in Dragon Ball Super type thing. We haven't
Yeah.
really touched on our recent locals. Um, like I said earlier, I played Turles. I'm gonna have gameplay on the channel this week, so if you're interested in seeing that, what did you play last week?
I didn't have locals last week. The last time I went down was 2 weeks ago. And I've been polishing up my red Vegeta crew.
Yeah,
Which I think, if you go first in that deck and you're able to hit your curve, you can kill them on two energy on their one.
wow,
It's not as common, but it's a deck that I think if it goes unanswered, which doesn't happen often, but when your boss monster isn't really a boss monster and it's death by 1,000 cuts, I think decks like that do well in a format that revolves around advantage.
yeah.
You draw 2 naturally off the leader, and then your Piccolo Junior, and then you have your Bardock where you can play a Borgos and draw another card. That's without spending any energy. So it's a deck that snowballs, and decks that snowball always have a shot. Um, and I think Crew is kind of an underrated archetype because the leader's dog water. Um,
Ooh.
but I love it. I think it's a super fun deck, and I'm gonna test the crap out of that Trunks until it releases because that deck will be good.
Yeah, that's for sure something I'm interested in. I'm actually like my two chase colors for the next set are black and yellow, and they're both Trunks decks. So
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But Matt,
yeah.
thank you so much for agreeing to come on and be this season's
Oh,
co-host. I really appreciate it. With that being
yeah, man.
said, we're gonna get on out of here. Everybody who's listening or watching, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything no counters, no combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.